Oh, man, you guys snuck up on me, bro. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys coming by. Since you're here, how about it? You know what I did? I thought yesterday, man, I was like, man, I did Peter Svidler, right? And I was like, man, while I'm on commentators, why not hit Maurice Ashley up too? So I went back to 2003, and this is the U.S. Championship. And it is between Maurice Ashley and Hikaru Nakamura. The interesting thing about it, I know you guys noticed that it says, I am Hikaru Nakamura. This is right after Hikaru turns 15, and he's 2 months away from getting his GM title. He gets it at about 15 years, 3 months, and this is 15 years, 1 month. So, International Master Hikaru Nakamura. You will not hear that often. Anyways, man, this is round number 4. So if you guys are ready to go, man, let's get into the action, son. So we got the move E4, best by test. We got C5, so we got the Sicilian defense rolling. We got knight to F3. We got D6, all super common. This is going to be by far the most, common way you see it played. D4, pawn takes D4, knight takes D4, knight to F6, knight to C3. And I know you guys are going to be surprised. A6. I know you guys didn't see that move coming, man. This is the Najdorf variation of the Sicilian defense. Very logical for anybody who is not aware of the Sicilian defense, or maybe they play D4 or something. A6 might kind of seem like it wastes a move, but you kind of see all these pieces that can jump into B5. Black is going to need to push their pawn somewhere like this. Either E6 or E5 at some point to kind of get their pieces out. And you really don't kind of want a knight jumping in there because your D6 pawn is going to be a little bit weak. So that is usually why we see the move A6. We got bishop to C4. One of the best diagonals for the bishop to be on. It does eye this nice juicy pawn that right now only the king is defending. So it's kind of a weak point. We got E6 blocking all of that. We got bishop back to B3. We see the move B5. Oops. Wow. Hold on. Let me get back to where I was at. I hit the up arrow, bro. So we are in this position here. And then we do see the move bishop to G5. Now, the move bishop to D5, like what you guys probably should be noticing, not only does A6 prevent a lot of movement, but it also sets up a pawn push, expanding on the queen side, which is very thematic for Sicilian defense players. And so B4 is definitely on the menu, and this E4 pawn can get a little bit shaky. So in light of that, Maurice just goes ahead and pins this knight to this queen, and so now B4 is not as big of an issue. We do see bishop to E7, just blocking, unpinning the knight. We got queen to F3 because now the tactic on the E4 pawn is live. We got queen to B6, and then we do see long castles by white. And, I mean, black, they pretty much were, you guys know Sicilian, if you guys watch this, play the Sicilian or whatever, it's a very aggressive attacking opening. So, you see that black, basically with all these moves, they're unpinning, and then they're attacking your undefended knight. And so, they're adding some definite pressure to you. Basically, if you play the Sicilian for the most part, you're not trying to draw home. You're like, nah, bro, we're going to go ahead and win or lose the game. We do see knight B to D7. We got rook H to E1. And one thing I will say is white is very poised and ready to go. They have gotten all of their pieces developed to good squares. They are completely castled. You might maybe see king to B1 or something like that, but you have rooks right in the center of the board opposing this king right here. It's fairly even. It may be even slightly better for black on an attacking tip. But if you notice, black still needs to do something with their light squared bishop. They need to get their rooks connected, get castled. So, when you're kind of looking at it from a time perspective, black is just a touch behind. But, there's other factors that you have to consider anyway in the position. We do see the move H6, and this is the novelty of the game. But instead of just moving the bishop and saying, hey, man, I'll go ahead and cut my losses and retreat, we do see the move very accurate A5, or E5, I'm sorry. And we are very much so eyeing this rook in the corner of the board. So black has to do something about that. So we do see bishop to B7 just blocking it, and then the queen goes to H3, and we are pinning it and trying to win it. This pawn cannot capture this bishop. It can. It's a legal move, but you're going to be losing your rook home. So don't do that. We do see pawn taking E5, a knight taking E6. And this is very thematic. Those of you that, like I say, either play as the Sicilian from black or play against the Sicilian as white, you guys know that E6 is very, very, very tender. And so there are a lot of sacrifices, especially when knight b goes to d7 and blocks that c8 bishop. So we do say knight taking e6, pawn taking e6, and then bishop taking e6. And you might not be believing it. Like, it might be like, man, it doesn't look like it's crazy winning. Well, the one thing I will say about the position is you do have this diagonal to the king open, and that is going to become relevant. You also have a lot of pressure on this knight on d7. So you got to kind of do a little damage control if you are black. And white pretty much at this point has only gotten like a pawn, but they have a very, very strong initiative going. So we do see rook going to d8, trying to defend everything. So we have actually reached the point in the game. If you do want to pause the video, there's a nice tactical shot that white has in this position. If you want to try to figure out what that is, go ahead and do so. All right, man. So it's crazy because it's the same. If you guys watched my video, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, and it had this same kind of idea theme type thing behind it. The move that I'm looking for is rook takes d7, and it actually puts black in not really a bind, but it does make them have to play very specifically. This is a very, very sound exchange sacrifice at this time because of the stuff that I mentioned before. The king is open. It's still stuck in the center. You know, you got this sacrifice. You got a pawn. So this is very, very accurate play. We do see rook taking d7, bishop taking f6, and this is undefending this rook on d7. So we have to kind of do something about that. But we do see the move rook to d6. Backing up, instead of a rook to d6, you absolutely cannot go knight takes d7. You see the bar. This is absolutely mating, so that is why we do not see that. So like I was saying, you do have a situation where you are kind of, strapped as black, and you really kind of have to make sure you find the correct moves to play. So like I said, we did get into this position here. We do see queen going to h6, and the follow-up that Maurice actually is showing in this game is actually really beautiful. And so like I said, you got this king stuck in the center, and what better thing to do than to check him on h5? You know, you can't play g6, obviously, so, you know, we got some issues. So the king does sidestep over to d8. We do see bishop taking e7, trying to draw the king back out. We got king taking, and then we do see queen taking e5, which might look a little bit strange at first because you're like, wait a minute, like the rook can just take here, right? Like, and then you're just kind of messed up, right? Well, the queen does have an in-between move of queen takes g7 with check, and you would be dropping this rook in the corner because it is undefended, so that's something you have to be thinking about. We do see king going to d8 in this position, and this is a very critical point. Maurice actually has about 2.5 pawns worth of an advantage. For those of you who aren't super familiar with like the evaluation, when you get to 3, you're basically down a piece. You're either physically down a piece or you're down a piece like, you know, like a minor piece positionally from what the computer's saying. So the computer is saying that you have at least a 2.5 pawns worth of an advantage. So that's, I mean, of course, with humans, it's going to be a little different, but between two computers, 2.5 is always winning, like literally always. And so we have to make a specific move here, though. We do see knight going to d5, and this doesn't completely throw the advantage. You still have like a +1, but there was a very, very like super accurate move in this position, and it was actually bishop to d5. One of the things you should probably notice about the position is you kind of have this nice little battery going, but the bishop is a little bit in the way. You also do want to activate your knight. One of the things too, after you see the move bishop to d5, you really can't like kind of defend any kind of way because this queen is hitting this rook. You cannot allow this bishop takes here because the only piece that can take it back is the queen. You don't really want to move the king over, because you have the same type of a situation and you could be dropping the rook. So you're really kind of tied down in this position. So you would probably see bishop takes and then knight takes, queen going down to c5, and then you do see queen to g7. And you guys see where that undefended piece is coming back into play again. But we did not see that. Like I said, we did see knight to d5. So, I mean, this gets a tempo on the queen, but the bishop is gladly giving itself up for the knight. Bishop takes d5. We got bishop taking d5. We see queen up to c7. You're trying to be a little sneaky. I mean, this queen is right here opposite the other queen. So sometimes there might could be some discoveries going on. We do see f4, just making sure that our queen is defended. We don't want to be dropping our queens nowhere. We got rook up to d7. It definitely benefits black to trade down. You see, like I was telling you guys before, you know, white, even though they are down in exchange, they got 2 pawns for it. They got a nice little attack going. So one of the ways to try to, you know, eliminate all of the pressure is to trade queens. And white absolutely does not want to. So that is why you see queen going to f5. The queen comes down to c5, trying to pin this bishop and win it. The bishop goes up to e6. And this is actually a game-losing blunder. You do allow queen to f2. And it might not look like, you know, something that's that horrible. But the problem is you really have no way to defend this position if you're white. The problem is this. So it's actually in this position that Maurice actually resigns the game. But to show you guys why he resigns the game, because, you know, it might seem like maybe there's something he can do. This is the problem that you have as white. You have a check. Well, not only, of course, do you have, like, the rook getting hit on e1, but you have this check here on d2 that's going to force a checkmate. So let's say you have, no, not that. So let's just say at some point, like just make a random move, like just to illustrate what I'm talking about. Queen would come to d2. You got the king sliding over, and you can take your pick. You can either take the rook, or you can go queen to d1. Rook would take, and that is back rank mate. So that is the issue that you're looking at in this position here. And the problem is you don't have any way for this queen to get anywhere that you're going to influence and protect this square. Also, very important, you do not have any checks you can place on this opposing king to try to redirect your queen somewhere to protect. So that's another one of your issues. So some of you guys might think, okay, wait a minute. The issue is d2, right? Can I go rook to d1? Like, is that a move? Well, the problem is after you see rook to d1, this actually forces a very quick mate because you do have queen to e3 with check. So that doesn't even work. You're going to be probably blocking with the rook, or you can just slide over and the rook would take and you got back rank mate. It's all going to be the same. You're going to be back rank mated some kind of way. So that is that, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, that ended up being the game. So, I mean, you know, Maurice actually is looking at this. I mean, he probably didn't calculate that, but when he saw it, he was like, man, okay, I dropped that. So he went ahead and resigned the game. So that is that game. I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. All my people in the Philippines is super early. So magandang umaga. Kamusta na aking mga kaibigan? Mabuhay. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Always give me suggestions if you want to see something else. And I'll see you guys next time.